My name is Andy Morgan, and I'm the producer on The Ex-Wife. So in The Ex-Wife, we meet a character called Tasha, who is married to a very wealthy man called Jack. But we very soon are introduced to Jack's ex-wife, Jen, who plays a much bigger part in this couple's life than Tasha certainly feels comfortable with. One day, Tasha comes home to find her husband gone and her baby gone, and you immediately start to draw conclusions as to what has happened, and the story progresses from there with several twists and turns along the way. Well, to be honest, Catherine was on board before I was on board. But working with Catherine on these scripts has been a very good collaborative process. She, because of her background of being an actor herself, she understands how the production process works. So the scripts had veered a little from the original source material of the novel, but that also gives us a freedom to change them even more, depending on certain production issues. So once we had come to Budapest and we were finding locations and having new ideas, we would feed these back to Catherine, who would welcome them, and anything that was making the script better, pushing it in the right direction, she was very open to and very accommodating with. Similarly, once we had cast in place, this always happens. Cast want to bring their own ideas to the role. And Catherine equally, willing to take those ideas on board and shape the characters, which is ultimately better for the show. Working and collaborating with Brian on the show has been fantastic. He's a very open-minded director when it comes to making the show. From the moment we met, we realised we sort of got on a personal level, which is always a great start when you're going to be working with someone for such a long time, so closely, under high pressure, circumstances. Then we start talking about certain ideas, and Brian brings obviously a lot to the table. He put together an amazing sort of pitch document with these incredible visuals and references from other TV shows and films, and that as soon as we saw that, I personally was just very excited by that. I knew that we were going to get something different and very stylish. I would describe the visual tone of the show. It's very contemporary looking. We're shooting the show anamorphic. We're using true widescreen lenses, and that in itself brings a very contemporary look to the show. It's unavoidable. Shows shot in this way have a sort of high-end premium feel to them. You seem to need far less coverage. The lens does an enormous amount of work. You don't want to cut from the shot. The shot is, you can pose a shot and block a scene in a certain way because of the way this lens works. That is really defining a lot about the show. We're designing the sets based around this lens. We have a lot of slow-moving camera shots to create this sort of creeping, intense atmosphere, which, in collaboration with our composer, the sort of music that he's choosing is creating this real sort of visceral feel to the show, which is it's really exciting to be working like this. I'm very excited by it. So the crash sequence requires a lot of VFX. There's only a certain amount that we can do for real in camera on the location, because there's a car chase before that. Now, to shoot a car chase, you either do it on the back of a low loader, a camera tracking vehicle, and drive through the streets, which is what we would do in the UK. But because we're on the wrong side of the road here, we'd need to change everything or flip it, digitally. But we just, from the beginning, we said, I think the simplest way to do this is if we just do all the driving sequences green screen in a studio. So making that decision early on really helps. So that's what we're doing today in a studio. We're doing we have the two cars who are in a chase, and we're shooting various different angles against the green screen. We have a brilliant VFX supervisor who's working with us, monitoring everything and making sure we're getting all the right angles. Then once that goes into the edit, we will have what we call plate shots, which we shoot on the location. We will also have some plate shots from London. We're going to get shots in on the like the motorway heading out of London. All of that will be put together smoothly, and you won't see the join. So Tasha is played by a young actress called Celine Buckens, and Celine, having just finished a really successful BBC show called Show Trial, which she's been nominated for the BAFTA for. So we're so pleased to get Celine on board. That was a big thing for us. What I think this series has is a sort of universal truth, and it's something that is said right at the very start of the story in the script. Something said by the lead character Tasha, that love makes us do some very strange things, and I think that is the essence of the story. The subjects that come up that we create in this sort of tense triangle that we have. Feelings of paranoia, feelings of jealousy, this sort of sense of being gaslighted. The appeal of this sort of genre, the psychological thriller, is that it could happen to anyone.